I think those of you who've been watching this series will admit that the engine is worth saving. We're not there yet, but I think we have a good engine. Now the question next is the car worth saving? Now, if you would have asked me this question 15 years ago, I would probably say, nah, it's too much work. But consider the value today of the W123 diesel and how many people are looking for them. We have to reconsider. I've decided on a name for this car. We're going to call this car Old Spence. Why Old Spence? I believe that literally no cents were spent in the maintenance of this car. And the question will be, should we continue with this restoration and spare no expense? Now I'm going to start up here at the front. We're going to do a quick walk around and show you some of the things we're going to have to deal with. A lot of them are cosmetic, but starting right here at the front of the car, look, typical broken fog light. Now you may say, well, that's not a big deal. Well, it's really ugly. This one I don't like either. You know, a broken grill shell. And then, typical of most of these later model 123s, look at that. The bumper rubber is falling off. I even had to come up with a special kit to fix this because this problem is kind of epidemic on these cars. You notice any difference? That's right. Look at the engine. A little bit cleaner, isn't it? Well, once I determine that the engine is worth saving, I do a little cleaning because I don't like working on a dirty, filthy engine. But I want to show you the first thing that I'm going to do on this car, and that's change the motor mounts. Look down here. Look at this one. It's so collapsed that the deflector plate is bent up. This is sitting almost metal on metal. Now let's go over to the other side. And this one's even worse. I don't think I've ever seen one where that shroud is bent up at 90 degrees. Look at the rubber coming out of the side. So we're not talking about bad motor mounts, we're talking about non-existing motor mounts. And that's the reason that this engine has been vibrating so badly. But I want to explain why this is going to be the very first thing I do. I have seen a couple of these diesel engines destroyed due to bad motor mounts. When they're running metal on metal, you have no shock absorption in the crankshaft. Both of these engines spun rod bearings with motor mounts like this because it's just a constant bang, bang, bang. There's no give as that piston rod comes down and reverses rotation. So if you're driving around on bad motor mounts like this, just be aware, you may really shorten the life of the engine. All right, so we're looking in the engine compartment here. We're going to do the motor mounts. I'm going to pull the injectors and rebuild them. We're going to pull the valve cover and go through the valve adjustment. In the last video in this series, I left you with a little quiz. I asked you viewers, what is the purpose of this screw and why do you think it's there? And just in case no one guessed it correctly, I'm going to explain why it's there. This is the idle stop adjustment screw, and it's not factory. The idle stop for the injection pump was located down here on this side on a shaft with an adjustable nut and a pin that came out and hit the lever to set the idle on the injection pump. And when I got the car, I'm wondering, what is this for? I looked down here and I realized that that shaft is missing. It's broken off the side of the pump. So therefore, there is no way to set the idle other than mess around with this little screw that's hitting the side of the valve cover. And you can see that's not very consistent. And of course, this is why you've heard the engine idling fast and inconsistently over the course of these videos. Now I want to show you what the real idle adjustment looks like and probably explain why it broke. I brought out an old injection pump off a different 300D engine, and here you can see how the idle stop screw works. Here is your lever for acceleration, and then the spring pulls it back, and you can see this pin right here hits this little raise in the lever, and that's what adjusts your idle. If you want to adjust this, you've got to loosen up the locking nut before you try to turn the shaft. And then you adjust it until it's idling where you want it, and then you have to tighten the locking nut back down. I believe that whoever tried to adjust this just got a big screwdriver on here and tried to twist this without loosening the lock nut and broke this tab off right here. So the only way I'm going to be able to fix this on old Spence is to replace the injection pump with another unit. Other things on this car that are going to need help. Follow along as I walk around it. New tires. Now granted, they're not Michelin's, but they are brand new tires. The wheels are straight. We come down the side here. Look, no rust in the jack points. Now for those of you who live on the East Coast or in the Midwest, you know how envious you can be of that. No rust out anywhere in the rocker panels. We got a little dent in the door here. That's not going to be a big problem. That can be straightened out and fixed. Nice thing about this color paint, it's easy to match if you know what you're doing. You'll see in the back end somebody didn't know what they're doing. Okay, back here, we're looking down underneath here, and particularly in this corner. This is a very common rust area in the W123. This is very tight. Doesn't look like it's been holding a lot of water in the trunk. And then moving around to the back here, you can see the color change. Somebody didn't know how to match this color paint. It looks like the whole back section, maybe the deck lid was replaced. There is a small dent right here and a broken taillight lens. Now that shouldn't be too hard to punch out either, and taillights are readily available on eBay. Look at the rear bumper. We got it underneath and there's absolutely no corrosion on the inside of the back bumper. This is an excellent bumper. And around here we've got a very small dent. Now look down the side here, you got a very straight body, maybe a little dent right here in the chrome strip. But we just got a few typical cosmetic issues you'd have to deal with. So it really depends on how nice you want this car to be. Sunroof, of course the sunroof seals are going to need to be replaced, but there's no rust around the sunroof. And then coming up to the front here, it looks like we have a crack in the windshield, a fairly large crack, so the windshield is going to need to be replaced. I'm going to get in the car and show you what we're going to have to deal with inside. Obviously, I think door check straps are going to be an issue with this car. All four doors are pretty sloppy. And I pulled those rear carpets out. I'm looking for rust on the floor. Not bad. There's a little bit of surface rust on that one corner, a little weak spot. But the rear seat, yeah, it's starting to break down a little bit. And you look back there on that first aid kit, the door's broken. That's pretty typical. So the interior on this car will need some work if you want to make it nice. And it's getting harder and harder to find these interior parts. Here's the front door, no check strap. Take a look, typical front seat and center armrest. Fortunately, the right side seat is in very nice condition. I've said in a number of my videos and books you can just take and swap seats. If you want a comfortable seat, go for a right side seat because it's usually not collapsed. Now I'm going to get in the car and show you a couple things. I think the mileage is pretty correct here. You've got a steering wheel that's very smooth along the top. It's showing 370,000, but who knows? I don't have any service records on this. You can see here that this top part of the wheel is totally smooth, and I'm going to turn the key back on. Look at the amount of play I got here. 2 inches of steering play. So the smoothness of the steering wheel and the play usually indicates, you know, at least over 250,000 miles. If I turn the key on, heater blower motor doesn't work. Sunroof doesn't work. Let's check power windows. Driver's power window doesn't work. Driver's side rear window doesn't work. Oh look, we have one window back there that works. That one, you can hear it running, but I think the teeth have run out of line there. Take a look at the wood. We've got cracks here. We got, you know, bogus radio. The glove box latch works, but we've got broken wood here. Now this is a good one, the dash. There's only one little teeny, like 1/8 inch crack here, and there's a little teeny crack right up on the top. But the dash is in excellent condition. Take a look at this one. This one's real common on these high mileage cars. You have a inside rear view mirror that's all sloppy. The ball socket has worn out. Visors are missing. So what else? Carpets don't look that good. Whether it's me or someone else, whoever takes on this car, is going to have to deal with some interior issues if you are concerned about cosmetics. Oh, a couple other things I'm going to check. Look, wipers work. And here's a good one. The tachometer works. Now, you hardly ever see a tachometer working in one of these old diesels. In light of everything I'm seeing here, I really think the next thing I'm going to do in the next video is we're going to open up that fuse box. I wouldn't be surprised if we just cleaned the fuse box terminals and replaced the fuses, that 3 or 4 of these things will work. So let's see, we'll check that out in the next video. So give me your thoughts. Go ahead and post them below this video. Let me know what you think. Do you think this 123 is worth saving? One of the things I found in the past when I ask people that, of course, everybody thinks it's worth saving as long as I save it. Now what I'm asking is, do you think it is worth saving if I sell you the car? That's a little more realistic. Everybody wants to see an old car fixed up, but how many actually want to do the work? So in the next video in this series, we're going to take a closer look at the engine. You know, we're going to do those motor mounts. Yeah, I told you I wasn't going to throw any money at this thing until I determined that the engine was savable. And at least I'm going to put new motor mounts on it and rebuild the fuel injectors. And we'll come back and then I can get it out on the road. We'll take this thing for some serious test drives to make sure that the transmission is fully shifting properly, the rear end sounds good, not howling, how does the suspension feel, and so on, before I make the final decision whether or not I want to restore this W123. Maybe old Spence will live again, but I'm not going to spare no expense.